This is your News on 8 at 11.
$65 million is going towards two bridge projects here in Kanawha County. Now, one of those being the full replacement to the Dunbar Toll Bridge. Shelby Burrow gives us a look at the project.
For as long as I can remember, I haven't seen any big fixes on the Dunbar Toll Bridge, no.
Funding has been confirmed for two major bridge rehabilitation and replacement projects in Kanawha County.
I think every time I go over it, there might be a chip somewhere or something that looks loose.
A portion of that funding will be going towards a full replacement for the Dunbar Toll Bridge, but people who live in the area and travel this bridge every single day say they would rather just see long-term fixes to this existing structure than building an entire new one.
It's the two stoplights that get you to the interstate in the city of Dunbar. They're congested all the time before rush hour even hits. And so at this point, if we're already experiencing that, what can we, think that we're going to see if we replace or close the bridge that's over here? Because this is a way in and out, and now we're going to cause more congestion.
Senator Shelley Moore Capito announced this grant on Friday, noting that it will pay for the full replacement of the Dunbar Toll Bridge and repairs to the Kanawha I-64 overpass.
I know that there's been closures several times just for various odd reasons, whether that be a minimal repair or weather related, and so it would be really nice to be able to keep it as well as make sure that it is in good working order and safe for residents to drive over it.
There is currently no timeline for repairs. Reporting in Dunbar, I'm Shelby Burrow.
That'll be a good week for construction crews. No threat for rain until Saturday at the earliest, and even then it's maybe a spotty shower or two. Very dry stretch ahead, and eventually it will warm up. Right now we're chilling down. Now we did get into the mid-60s this afternoon, pretty close to our average high of 66. Charleston got to 65, and Huntington got to 66 degrees. We've cooled off into the 50s with outlying spots in the 40s now, and those temps will keep dropping overnight, eventually into the 30s, and in some cases close to freezing. So we do have a freeze warning in effect for a lot of the viewing area here through 10 a.m. tomorrow. If you have any plants outside that you're worried about, want to cover them up. I don't think it's a hard freeze tonight. That comes tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. But we'll start off 33 in the valleys, maybe upper 30s on the hilltops, and plenty of sunshine ahead tomorrow, but it's going to be cooler than it was today. Today, low to mid-60s. Tomorrow, lower 50s in the afternoon in spite of all that sunshine. So a bit of a chill out there in spite of that sun. Tomorrow night, 20s. Then we start the warm-up, 60s, 70s, even 80 by week's end. And we'll talk more about that in your complete forecast in just a bit.
Well, it's been 16 years since a deadly mine disaster claimed 29 lives in West Virginia. 8 reporter Bob Aaron has more on how those Upper Big Branch miners were remembered today.
The 29 men who lost their lives in an underground explosion at the Upper Big Branch mine 16 years ago were honored in ceremonies Monday in Beckley. Investigations showed the massive gas and coal dust explosion could have been avoided if basic, well-tested, and historically proven safety procedures had been followed.
This is something we do every year to make sure that these men's lives are not forgotten. We do it for the families, we do it for the community, all those who were affected by this terrible tragedy that happened to us 16 years ago. And we also acknowledge the fact that men continue to do this very dangerous work. We lost another one here in Riley County just last week.
In 2010, 38 miners died in West Virginia, including 29 in the Upper Big Branch disaster 16 years ago Sunday. In recent years, numbers are much lower, generally 2 to 6 per year, reflecting long-term declines in mining deaths due to regulation and fewer coal miners. But the brother of UBB victim Benny Willingham isn't sure mine safety has improved that much after the deaths of 2 miners in West Virginia in less than 24 hours last week.
I don't know. I don't know if we have or not. I worked in the mines for 11 years and I got out. Benny, he loved mining. He loved going underground and working. And he was a wonderful guy. I'm not just saying that, but he was. Everybody thought the world of Benny.
He and the other UBB miners also have their story told in a large memorial display in Whitesville. A different memorial at the mine site underlines just how dangerous coal mining is. We got a reminder of that last week when 2 miners in West Virginia died in separate accidents. In Raleigh County, Bob Aaron on 8.
A Charleston fire scene sparking new questions this afternoon after flames break out not once, but twice at the same property. Fire crews responded to a house fire on the 2400 block of Washington Street West in Charleston. The first fire broke out in the early hours this morning. The house was later knocked down, but hours later, flames returned to that same property. Officials say this is not a rekindle and is now under active investigation. Officials tell us the home is vacant but not abandoned. A shed on the property also caught fire overnight. Officials say the damage to the house is tied to the second fire from earlier today. All 3 city fire marshals are now working to determine what sparked both fires. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported. Well, a major breakthrough in a burglary case to arrest and stolen property now recovered. State police say a month-long investigation in Calhoun County led to them to Parkersburg. Then they found stolen items during a Wood County traffic stop. And after a follow-up search of a home, they recovered about $100,000 worth of stolen property. 36-year-old Caleb Hart and 34-year-old Julie Spry are now facing charges as the investigation continues. The brutal and frigid winter earlier this year took a toll on roads across the region. In Kentucky, the Rural Road Fund has $70 million to help counties make those repairs. Lawrence County is getting more than $1 million to repair 8 county roads. County workers make a list of the problem roads that need repairs and submit that list to the state. Then the Transportation Cabinet rates those roads on a scale of 1 to 10. Judge Executive Philip Carter says roads rated as 9 or 10 will get the work.
I guess you had a lot of 8s and 7s, didn't you?
We got a lot of 7 and 8, yes.
And so, well, what about those roads?
We will continue to do a major patching repairs to them.
Money to make those repairs is in the Joint Resolution 76. That legislation is currently on the governor's desk. Well, beer could soon be part of the game day experience at one of Kanawha County's busiest stadiums. Today, during a meeting, the Kanawha County Board of Education has approved a new policy allowing beer sales at Lately Field. Now, the policy was approved after board members voted 4-1. Lately Field is home to the University of Charleston Golden Eagles football and track teams. It's also where Capital High School plays football and where several state championship events are held each year. Details on how and when beer will be sold are still being worked out.
Houston, we have you the same, and it is so great to hear from Earth again.
NASA with the new images tonight from the historic Artemis II mission to the moon. The crew of 4 astronauts getting a bird's eye view of the surface during today's lunar flyby, marking the first humans to ever view certain parts of the far side of the moon with their own eyes. NASA's multi-billion-dollar project so far, a success as the astronauts continue on their voyage, slingshotting them around the moon. Melissa Don has a look at NASA's new images.
New images from NASA capturing the Artemis II mission historic lunar flyby. The photos detailing the moon's surface and marking a feat for space history as the crew has gone further than any humans have gone before.
On April 15, 1970, during the Apollo 13 mission, 3 explorers set the record for the farthest distance humans have ever traveled from our home planet. Today, for all humanity, you're pushing beyond that frontier.
The crew of the Artemis broke the Apollo 13 record just before 2 p.m. Eastern, but they didn't stop there. They went on to travel more than 252,000 miles from Earth. Some of the images taken from the 15 specialized cameras mounted on the Orion spacecraft. The other photos snapped by hand by the 4 astronauts aboard. The crew seen sharing an emotional moment after suggesting naming one of the unnamed craters on the moon in memory of Commander Reed Wiseman's wife, Carol, who died of cancer.
It's a bright spot on the moon. And we would like to call it Carol. And you spell that C-A-R-R-O-L-L.
NASA losing communication with the astronauts as expected for about 40 minutes as they passed behind the moon. While the crew will not be landing on the moon this time, the hope is this mission will set the stage for a return to the lunar surface, the creation of a permanent moon base, and eventually human missions to Mars.
We most importantly choose this moment to challenge this generation and the next to make sure this record is not long-lived.
NASA says the Artemis II crew is set to return to Earth on Friday, splashing down in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, it can still get chilly in April at night. Our latest freeze typically doesn't happen until late in the month of April or even early May sometimes. So 33 tonight, nothing unusual with some frost possible, and then 26 Wednesday morning, also going to be frosty. Thursday morning is a little better, 40, still jacket worthy, but the afternoon temperatures are going up by week's end. We'll talk more about that coming up. All right, dropping into the 30s for tonight. Thinking about record lows? Not quite. 19 is the record for Charleston tonight. 21 in Huntington, both from 1982, which incidentally is a big nor'easter off the East Coast that produced 1 to 2 feet of snow in New England, New York City. The Yankees got snowed out for about 3 days in a row from that system. Mountains had some snow out of that. Charleston, Huntington didn't get much snow from that, but another event a couple years later in April did, and we'll talk about that a little later in the show. This low, tracking by to the east, is going to push a front through here overnight tonight. No moisture with it, but a north wind will set up for tomorrow. So tomorrow's going to be cooler than today. We'll start off low to mid-30s, which is about where we were this morning with some frost. Then we've got sunshine, but only upper 40s at noon. And instead of mid-60s, it's low to mid-50s for tomorrow. It'll be a nice day. It's just cool. There'll be that north breeze. And then tomorrow night, the breeze will settle down. High pressures to our north. We've got clear skies until dawn. That's when we fall into the mid to upper 20s for Wednesday morning. So that's a hard freeze. That could definitely damage some of those budding trees, maybe some fruit trees as well. But then we warm up into the 60s Wednesday afternoon, and we get even warmer still heading into the weekend. We'll talk more about that and the lack of rain in the forecast coming up.
Well, from trusted doctor to troubling allegations, patients speak out after learning they were secretly recorded. We're shining a light inside the Army's response to a growing scandal after the break. Well, dozens of patients say they were sexually abused by an Army gynecologist, one of the largest alleged misconduct cases in military history. Victims tell Spotlight on America's Chris Daniels they couldn't access critical support services, and now there's a growing push to change that.
They all tell similar stories after visiting Army gynecologist Dr. Blaine McGraw at Fort Hood.
I cried for probably about a good hour.
All of them did not want to be named, some reluctant to show their face.
They sent a picture by text for me to self-identify.
To talk about how Army investigators say McGraw had violated their trust. And what was that picture of?
So it was a picture of me postpartum a few days after I was in the ICU. I guess it was a short shot of my face and my breast. I think there's certain things in life like death and stuff that your brain just can't comprehend.
And they finally pulled out a picture of me, a still shot from the video, and said, "Do you recognize this person?" And I said, "Yeah, that's me." And they said, "Your doctor was recording you."
McGraw, seen here in a video obtained by Spotlight on America, is accused of secretly recording potentially hundreds of vulnerable patients. And while he remains jailed pending a military hearing, his alleged victims say they've been given no help.
So you go through this system, you're traumatized, you don't have a chaperone, you don't have any sort of counselor to help you.
No, they didn't give me anything but that little paper pamphlet. And apparently to them that's sufficient.
And how does that make you feel to this day?
Dismissed, unheard, like they don't want to hear from us. They don't care about what happened. They just care that they got caught.
Survivors are entitled to protections. They're entitled to support services.
Nancy Parrish is the founder of Protect Our Defenders, a human rights organization that provided free legal support to 1,000 survivors of military sexual assault and 29,000 hours of pro bono legal representation.
The first thing that comes to my mind, Chris, is courage.
Now, Parrish is concerned about a recently announced review of the military's lawyers, with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth calling the military's legal system bloated.
Scrub it clean. Cut duplication and bureaucracy. Clarify roles and reporting. No more moral ambiguity. Bottom line, sharpen our legal edge to sharpen our warfighting edge. No more distractions, no more shortages in the fight because of misplaced priorities.
It's unclear what that review will entail. Protect Our Defenders worries that it could further erode guardrails meant to protect survivors and enforce accountability. We asked the military how that review will impact sexual assault cases and to respond to claims that alleged victims of Dr. McGraw were not provided services as required by law. We did not receive a response.
We seem to be going backwards now. We need to understand that 1 in 4 women experience sexual assault during their term in service. It's a remarkable, astounding number. Tens of thousands of women who volunteer to serve this country are sexually assaulted within 4 years of service.
Parrish says the Fort Hood case proves the point.
At this point, I don't trust people. It's been kind of a negative effect to come from this.
Alleged victims say they're still waiting for follow-up.
Just the way that I guess it feels like for the actual victims, just kind of disregarded.
I'm Chris Daniels for Spotlight on America.
Well, I mentioned record lows tonight are from 1982. That storm missed most of our area, but 1987, 5 years later, some folks might remember this. From the 2nd to the 6th of April, 14, 15 inches of snow in Huntington, almost 21 inches of snow in Charleston, 25 inches of snow in Elkins. Wow. Yeah, one of the biggest snow events here in this area's history, and it came in April. How about that? No snow in the forecast. Hardly any rain in the forecast. We might get a spotty shower on Saturday and again on Monday. That's basically about it. This is a very dry forecast, so really no April showers, which means the tree pollen is going haywire once again. Those trees really coming out. We got a little relief Sunday from that rain from Saturday night, but with the lack of rain this week and the warming trend eventually, yeah, that tree pollen is going to be an issue once again. 52 tomorrow. It's cool, starting off chilly, and 26 Wednesday morning. That'll be a hard freeze. That could nip some of those tree buds. Then up to 67 here on Wednesday, 74 on Thursday, 80 on Friday, spotty shower chance Saturday, but you're still fine if you have outdoor plans. We're in the mid-70s, and we're going to finish the weekend Sunday in the mid-80s.
All right, thank you, Doug. Well, just one college basketball game remained for the season heading into this Monday, and it was UConn and Michigan battling it out to see who would be reigning supreme for the college basketball season of 25-26. UConn trying to win its 3rd and 4th year. Michigan trying to garner its 2nd title in school history, first since 1989. Just wrapped up a good game, and Michigan prevails by a final of 69-63. Dusty May in his 2nd season as the head coach of Michigan, victorious as he came from Florida Atlantic, had them in a Final Four, and again once coached against the Marshall Thundering Herd. It was a case of college basketball championships ×2 in the Mountain State over the weekend. The second was claimed yesterday in Vegas as the Mountaineers won an overtime game in the college basketball crown, and not only did they get a title, but $300,000 in NIL money for the players. What a 3-game stretch it was for the Mountaineers of head coach Ross Hodge. They defeated Stanford in overtime, dominated Creighton, and then outlasted Oklahoma in that extra session affair yesterday. First championship in a tournament since the John Beilein squad won the 2007 NIT in the postseason. Honor Huff scored 38. He was the MVP of the crown. It was a high note for the program, and certainly Ross Hodge, who is West Virginia's 4th coach in 4 seasons. WVU ends with a record of 21-14 in Coach Hodge's first year at the helm. Again, the winning players from this year's crown sharing $300,000 in NIL money. A big moment for Mountaineer basketball yesterday in Vegas.
Like this group can do and has shown an ability to do all year long, you know, when it looked like we were just about done for, you know, their competitive spirit and their togetherness and their love for each other kicks in and made big plays, started getting stops. And, you know, I thought kind of an unsung hero of the game was Harlan, and he got in a little bit of foul trouble in the first half, and that hurt us. He only scored one basket in the game, but if you look at his plus minus, he was a plus 35.
Illustrating a team effort by the Mountaineers. Of course, the Mountain State Championship weekend started with Julie Folks' Marshall Thundering Herd bringing home the Women's National Invitation Tournament title by taking care of Illinois State at a sold-out Cam Henderson Center. It couldn't have ended more perfectly as Marshall won for a fifth straight game in the WNIT and did so on the home court. Deepest run ever for a Marshall women's team. And in addition, her winning 28 games for the season, a program best. Tamaya Lewis-Utsi, the MVP of the tournament, 27 points in that championship game for the Thundering Herd. Quite a turnaround from that tough exit in Pensacola, and it ends in championship glory. Now, not only was the Marshall women's basketball team making great news over the weekend with the WNIT title, but so too was one of the all-time great players for the men's program in Mike D'Antoni. The former Thundering Herd point guard was named to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2026. D'Antoni will be honored in August. He played professionally and was an outstanding NBA coach with the Suns, Knicks, and Lakers. His brother Dan was also a former Herd great and spent 10 seasons as the men's head coach at Marshall University. High school baseball on a beautiful Monday evening. Loftus Field at St. Albans. The Battle of the Bridge, Nitro and St. Albans. First inning, Brogan Sams batting for the Red Dragons and going to bring home Braxton Burke and Gavin Comer. And then it's going to be Chance Campbell at the plate. Brogan Sams going to come home. St. Albans 3 runs at the end of the first inning. A big game for the Red Dragons, and then we'll pick it up in the second, and Burke back at the plate for the Red Dragons, and we'll drill this one out of Loftus Field, home run, and it's all St. Albans. Rick Whitman's team getting the victory by a final count of 13-0. And just in case you missed it, it was UConn falling to Michigan 69-63. The Wolverines are the national champions of the 2025-26 men's college basketball season. It all wraps up here in April after starting in early November. And that will do it for sports here at 11 o'clock.
Jacket weather next couple mornings. Probably want to keep the jacket on tomorrow afternoon. We'll have a lot of sun, but 52 is cool. 26 Wednesday morning before we get up to about 67 in the afternoon. Then it's 70s Thursday, 80 on Friday, and warm for the weekend. Just a spotty shower chance Saturday, but outdoor events should be just fine. And we'll go for about 85 on Sunday. So it's about 30 degrees warmer than it was for this past Easter Sunday. And Mark, you mentioned that baseball.
Yeah, it's going to be cold in Morgantown for Marshall WVU, so they're going to play it on Wednesday. So, yeah, hopefully by the time they play here in Charleston, that's in May. It's going to be
it should be warm. The question is, can we keep the storms away at that point? Because eventually, this dry trend can't last forever. We'll get those spring storms back in the forecast.
All right, well, thanks so much for joining us. We hope you have a great night. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.